So I think Judy, when I had spoken to her, she was talking about an 8%, some 8% in tax relief. If we can't really address that because of the immediate needs, is that something that we're going to be able to look at in the next fiscal year at all, like starting July 1? Would that be where you would at least begin again looking?
Oh, you mean as far as figuring
as far
out
as
how we
like
can
some
reduce?
tax relief, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we're looking every day. I mean, we're looking at ways that we can increase revenue, and we're looking at ways that we can decrease the costs.
Right,
I
but
mean,
we're
so
already
for
basically
this,
running
right,
out of this on this fiscal year.
for this fiscal year, where it's going to be tough to cut it that much. But again, it sort of depends what some of the decisions are that the council.
Okay. Since we're really in a position where we can't really put all the things into place that we would like, based on a number of things that you raised just now, would you be willing to suspend or repeal the open space tax?
I think the open space tax is something that I'm not willing to suspend it. I mean, I think that it's not, and I don't have the authority. I mean, it's something that was passed by referendum by the people of Hoboken. So it's not like the mayor can just say, oh, I suspend it. I mean, that would be illegal for me to try and do that. And it's not something that I agree with. I mean, I think people of Hoboken voted for it, and open space is, we don't have enough of it here in Hoboken. I mean, we're down the field right now, so.
Okay, on the question of the accounting treatment that you mentioned for the $4.2 million owed to the state in that pension issue, you've probably heard comments by both the fiscal state monitor and Councilman Lenz. What is your position and how that should be treated?
I think that we should pay for some of it this year, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm trying to listen to both sides. Legally, I mean, I was actually just speaking with our director of finance about it. I mean, whether or not if we bond for it, whether we can pay for some of it this year. He's checking with bond counsel to see if that's actually possible. But I think that it would be more responsible to pay for some of it. It's an expense from the past, but it's also an expense into the future because these people have retired. So I do feel like it's an expense that could be spread out.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to ask about is when we might be able to get some details. Obviously last week wasn't the right time, but the plan that you have for the municipal garage. Is there anything that you can mention about that at all?
I can say that I'm looking into some shared service agreements as part of the interim solution.
Okay. And without going into too much of the details, right now I guess the cost is, and interest is $100,000 a month to the...
Which it fluctuates. It's not always 100.
So
But,
just
right,
ballpark.
Right.
Ballpark, it's around 100. What do you think, if your plan actually can move to being placed into practice, would actually save us?
Well, it's going to say, I mean, the sale of and then we would be able to complete the sale of the garage,
right,
and then there'd be like $9 million in revenue. But I feel like we shouldn't be just spending that money. I think that we need to plan for building the municipal garage.
Sure.
So,
but I mean, in terms of just like we're
working out. I can't.
able to speak to that.
I can't at this point. I don't want to.
That's fine.
I can't really say at this point.
Okay.
It's not that I don't have a sense of it, but it's something that's being negotiated right now.
I understand. What about the police department changes that were proposed last spring by Judy that have been delayed? A lot of people are raising that issue with Mall Square View about have you raised this at all with her since the November election, and what changes would you like to see incorporated into the management structure there?
Well, I mean, I feel very strongly that we need this police audit, and we need, public safety is extremely important, and we need to make informed decisions about, if changes are going to be made, it needs to be made, based on analysis. And they came in, they did a lot of interviewing, they were on site for months, they did, a significant analysis of our police department, and it's extremely important that I get that information as mayor, that I, talk to my police chief about it, talk to the public safety, talk to the city council about it, and share it with the public. And decisions, if there are changes that could be made within the police department, it will be made based on, information that's in that report. And that's the way I operate. I think it's very important to make informed decisions.
Okay. Somebody pointed a gun at my head to ask this. How far along is the reval process in terms of like remapping and stuff, and is there a goal to get that remapping process started?
We've had a little bit of internal controversy on that, and I said it absolutely has to be the tax map. Funding of the tax maps has to be in the budget. But it's a 3 to 5 year process.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't agree that we should fund the entire cost of doing the reval, because we're not going to be starting first we have to do the tax maps, and we have to get those approved by the state, and then we would do, start in on the reval. I mean, that's all part of the reval process, but I think it's about $250,000 cost to do the tax map. So, and that takes a couple of years, and part of that cost should be in the budget.
Okay. During the campaign, you agreed to do some town hall meetings, and I know you've been pretty busy, but I believe that it was talked about on a quarterly basis. Have you had a chance to put a plan of action into place? I wanted to get to, it took, like I said, it took longer to get my team in place than I expected, and now that I have a new environmental services director coming in, and once she gets up to speed, then I'm going to start that process. But I felt like it was important for me, first and foremost, to get all of the directors in place, and now I need to finish getting all of the boards in place, and then I do want to start that process. Okay. What's your position on the elected representatives in Hoboken having a say in the police union contract? Have you communicated and come to any understanding on this with the fiscal state monitor?
Well, I strongly advocated, and quite frankly, it's because of me that the council got information on the contracts. I mean, I was the one that said, on the status of the union negotiations, that they absolutely, I demanded that they be briefed, and that they be given a written report, and also a briefing by our legal counsel. So, but as far as how much influence the city council or the mayor will ultimately have, I mean, that's a point of discussion.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a question that's speculative, but if Judy Tripodi unilaterally pushes a contract through without the support or cooperation with your office and the city council, are you prepared to publicly announce the impact via layoffs? And what would be the timing of such a public statement?
You mean if she just passes it right away, would I implement layoffs right away? Is that what?
No, I mean in terms of where you might be later after the result of that, not having to influence that.
I wouldn't, I mean, the two are not, I mean, I think I want the police department, the fire department, every department to run as efficiently as possible. So that's, and I'll make my decisions based on, the analysis that's been done, and make sure that they all run efficiently. So I don't think that it should be made based on what the results of the labor union negotiations. That would be irresponsible.